From the Detroit Free Press, I'm Robin Chan with today's Voice Briefing. It's Tuesday, November 18th, 2025.
I'm Teresa Baldus with the Detroit Free Press. In 2010, a Detroit man named Eric Anderson was convicted for an armed robbery he insisted he didn't commit. He served nearly 9 years behind bars before the truth finally came out. 2 others would confess to the crime, and Anderson would be released from prison. And now there's a new report that shows all the mistakes that were made along the way by the police, the prosecution, the judge, and the defense that landed an innocent man in prison. Turns out Mr. Anderson had an alibi, but the Detroit police didn't thoroughly investigate it. Anderson was shot that night at a Coney Island restaurant roughly at the same time as the armed robbery, but the jury never got to see the surveillance video of Anderson entering the Coney Island, and that's not all. He was also mocked by the judge, falsely ID'd by the suspect, and his police report was riddled with errors. All of this was disclosed Monday in a first-of-its-kind report commissioned by Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy, who wanted a deep dive into this case to find out what went wrong. She pulled together a team of multiple agencies, the Detroit Police, prosecutors, judges, defense lawyers, and they spent 18 months investigating Anderson's wrongful conviction. There was no blame or finger pointing, but the report noted, quote, Mr. Anderson's wrongful conviction could not have happened without systemic errors occurring at every level of his case, end quote. For more on this story, please report to Freep.com.
This is Liam Rapley for the Detroit Free Press. Stellantis is once again recalling hybrid Jeeps, this time alerting the public that 112,000 Wrangler and Grand Cherokee plug-in hybrids are at risk of engine failure due to sand contamination in the engine. The recall follows an earlier recall of more than 300,000 vehicles issued for certain hybrid Jeeps on November 4th because they may spontaneously catch fire, as well as another recall from September of more than 90,000 hybrid Jeeps that were at risk of a random loss of propulsion. This time around, the plug-in hybrid Jeeps under recall are 2023 through 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee hybrids and the 2024 and 2025 Wrangler hybrids. A Stellantis spokesperson told the Free Press that an internal investigation determined that those Jeeps may have been built with 2-liter engines that could be contaminated with sand from the casting process. Sand is used while casting large pieces of metal, and contamination in this case means that small grains of sand are still present in the engine, which can damage parts of the engine over time and lead to excess wear and tear. In rare cases, this condition could lead to a vehicle fire or an unexpected loss of propulsion, Stellantis said. Customers driving affected vehicles may notice a knocking sound coming from the engine bay or notice a warning light before their engines fail, the company said. According to the U.S. National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration, the potentially contaminated engines were produced in Mexico from June of 2023 until March of 2025. A remedy is currently under development, Stellantis said. For more, visit Freep.com.
Hey there, everybody. This is Omari Sanko for the second Pistons beat writer for the Detroit Free Press. On this week's episode of our podcast, The Pistons Post, Bryce Simon and I gave flowers to the non-star players who have carried the team through their 9-game winning streak, including Dennis Jenkins and Paul Reed. Here's a quick snippet of our conversation.
We got to start with Dennis Jenkins. This is the guy we've been talking about for a while. Summer League performance went really well, and he has taken this opportunity, and absolutely run with it.
Yeah, I mean, from that first game where he knocks down 2 3-pointers in the final 5 seconds, including the second one at the buzzer to tie that game and get them a win that it looked like they were probably not going to get up until he hit those 2 shots. Impressive, for him to follow up the next game, and I think just really do a good job embracing that point guard role. I can't remember which game it was he had 12 and which one he had 8 assists, but I thought he did a really good moving the ball in that second game. And then, the half-court shot that kind of helped them get some momentum going against the Sixers. He's made so many plays over this past week that I think after watching him in Summer League and seeing some of the stuff he did in the G League, you knew that he was capable of rising to the moment, but to do it game after game after game when they needed him most, I think is what adds to that. You can hear that full conversation in this week's episode of The Pistons Post, which is available wherever you listen to podcasts. And as always, you can find our latest coverage on freep.com/sports.
Find more from the Detroit Free Press on Freep.com. That's FREEP.com. Thank you for listening, and you'll hear more from us tomorrow.